This is Iriska's litter. Iriska was with Havoc. So Havoc is with the dad. And this is, there's 4 kittens here, 3 boys and 1 girl. And they are all very cute butterballs right now. Because there's only 4, they're actually a pretty good size. Iriska, this is her first litter. She's a first-time mom, and she took to them very well. She's been taking very good care of them. They're definitely at their adventuresome stage at this point. So we are starting to see differences in personality. Gidget, for instance, who's in my hands, is actually pretty outgoing. She likes to, I think she was the first one out of her litter box. Not her litter box. I keep saying that. Out of her, her box where her litter stays. You know, her group. Cat bed, yeah, her cat bed. So she was all over the place. Poor mom didn't know what to do at first. She's like, do I put you back? I mean, what do I do? But, you know, she's pretty outgoing. I mean, this is a pretty relaxed group, too, for the most part. You know, she's pretty chill. This is Gidget. She's the only girl. So she's actually the darkest right now, although I do anticipate that a lot of those, it's black and all over, but in the inside is going to turn brown. If you actually look at her face, you'll see that the color of her face will indicate the color of the brown that I anticipate will go into her spots. Are you licking me? So that's the trick that we breeders always use. If we want to know what color their spots are going to be, you look at the face. So I would say for her, she's got brown on her face, but the color of the brown, it's not super red. It's probably just a regular brown. She's quite cute. So I'm gonna put her down, but I like how dark her spots are because I really feel like they're gonna pop. So even when the brown comes in, her markings are gonna pop more. But Gidget definitely likes to, she's all over the place. Very outgoing personality. Whereas the other kittens, for the most part, like to stay with mommy or with me. They're not as outgoing as Gidget is, at least right now. So the next male we'll talk about is actually a silver. He's the only silver in the group. And so we named him Snowball. And this whole litter is, by the way, themed after Secret Life of Pets. So it actually worked. Gidget being the girl main character, and Snowball is kind of an evil character in the first movie, and then he's a great guy in the second movie. But it's a pretty good name for him. He's got some pretty good spots on him. If I can spread him out a little bit. This is always the difficult part because you want to show off the pattern, and they don't like being pulled. So there you go. See, look, you can definitely see that those donut rosettes are really coming out there. You got that dark, nice black line around those donut rosettes with a nice gray center. Really beautiful contrast there. Nice white background. And look at these nice wild markings. I mean, it's like a balloon deflated. As he gets older, the balloon gets bigger, the spots get bigger, everything around the spots get bigger. I mean, everything gets spaced better. The development just continues to go. But beautiful rosettes. Really contrasted, very nice white background. So a very good example of a silver boy. And he's actually the biggest kitten in this whole group, by the way. Snowball. So hefty. So, he's a really, really chunky guy. And there's Max coming out to greet him. So, I would say out of this whole lot, the one that has the most reddish brown is going to be Duke. Well, let's go over Max since Max is already out. Max has some red-brown in him. If you actually look at the cheeks and the face, you can definitely see that red-brown. but his development is not as far along as Duke. So the rosettes haven't developed as much. They usually develop anywhere between 4 and 5 weeks. And so at this point, more development is going to be occurring. You can actually see some of the brown starting to show up here, but in here, the brown hasn't yet showed up. So it starts off as black, and then it ends up becoming brown in the middle there. So that's Max. But I anticipate Max being a similar color to Duke. And Duke just developed a lot earlier. You can actually see a lot of that brown already in the rosette. So I anticipate that Max will look very similar as far as that same shade of brown. Just hasn't developed that brown in the rosette yet. I do see that back here, this hasn't broken up yet. I don't anticipate at this age that this will break up much more. But there's a lot of brown back here. Beautiful reddish brown shade. I actually think it kind of adds a little bit. Make it kind of like a darker. But if you look at Duke's face, you can really see that reddish brown there. And then also like the whole back is all reddish brown on his ears, his face. He's much more. Iriska, the mom, is more of an orangey brown, but the aunt, who is Infinity, is definitely a reddish brown. And she produced a lot of kittens that were like this, that had that reddish brown color. So I'm not surprised. The genetics are definitely there. So that's Duke. Gidget. So, and as I say, if you compare Max and Duke and you look at their faces to do that trick, you can see it's the same shade of red-brown. So that's why I anticipate both of them having the same color. Whereas this girl right here doesn't have. And if you compare, here's Duke right here on the right, and then Gidget on the left. You can see how one's a little bit more red-brown than the other. Just a touch. She doesn't have as much reddish color as her brothers do, but still beautiful brown. She should have really good contrast with that really dark black markings that she has. Very exotic looking, very, you would almost think charcoaly. Her father actually has a charcoal gene. So I'm pretty darn sure if I do genetic testing, she has the charcoal gene. And that's why she's so darn dark. Which really just adds to her appeal, her exotic appeal. Whoa. Max. Just say you can just pick these guys up. Hi. Everybody likes to see the belly. Like to see the belly? And Gidget is adorable. I feel like she's a little pocket kitty. Just go like this. She just relaxes. Oh, it's so good. I'm just gonna knead the air. It's like I'm nursing. You're so tiny, but you're full of spunk. And here's these three boys hanging out together. It's so cold in here. Gotta stick together for warmth. Yeah? Talking to each other? Hugh's my girl. You're my girl. She's the queen of the world. So, my kids will grab a kitten pretty regularly and just chill out with them, sit with them, and pretty much starting around 3 weeks old, they've been regularly hanging out with us in the living room for a few hours a day. It's hard to keep Gidget on the couch. She keeps trying to get off. Yeah. Look at those ears perk up.